If you ever hear a woman say any of these 5 things, don't argue, don't explain, don't try to fix it. Just walk away. Not because you're weak, not because you're scared, but because staying will cost you something far more valuable than love, your peace, your purpose, and your self-respect. We're not here to bash women. Let's be clear. We're here to protect men from wasting their energy, their time, and in some cases, their entire lives on people who are simply not ready to love them right. Because here's the hard truth most men aren't told. The wrong woman will drain you faster than poverty. In a world where men are constantly told to man up, be patient, and stick it out, nobody ever stops to say, hey, maybe she's the problem. And it's not about perfection. It's about patterns. You see, when a woman shows you certain red flags with her words, she's not just having a bad day. She's giving you a glimpse into her mindset. And if you ignore that, thinking you can change her later, you're walking into a trap with your eyes wide open. Too many good men have been broken because they stayed when they should have walked. They kept hoping, kept trying, kept giving, until there was nothing left of them to give. So this video is not for weak men. It's for the ones who are done being emotionally manipulated. Done walking on eggshells. Done being told they're too much, just for asking for basic respect. If you hear her say any of the 5 things we're about to cover, it's not your job to fix her. It's your job to leave. No fight, no closure, no explanation. Just walk. Because real men don't beg for peace. They choose it. Let's get into it. 1. I don't need a man. The moment she says this, your ears should perk up. Not because she's independent, but because she's telling you exactly how she views you. Now listen carefully. This phrase isn't about strength, it's about attitude. There's nothing wrong with a woman having her own goals, her own money, her own life. In fact, that's attractive. But when she says, I don't need a man, what she's really doing is building a wall before the relationship even starts. It's not about self-reliance. It's about emotional distance. She's letting you know you are not required. You are not valued. You are replaceable. And here's the twist. She'll still want your time, your attention, your effort, but not from a place of respect, from a place of convenience. This kind of woman usually views relationships as a luxury, not a partnership. She wants the benefits of a man, protection, presence, validation, but without the actual need for one. And that's dangerous. Why? Because need creates value, and value builds connection. If she doesn't think she needs you, she will never truly invest in you. Emotionally, spiritually, or mentally. She might even weaponize her independence during conflict. You think I need you? I was fine before you. I'll be fine after you. That's not strength. That's emotional detachment, disguised as empowerment. Let's make this real. You're dating a woman who constantly reminds you how self-made she is. She pays for her own meals, drives a nice car, and always talks about how men slow her down. Cool, impressive. But then, when you express your opinion, she shuts it down. You can't tell me what to do. I don't need a man controlling my life. Boom. That's the red flag. She's not seeing you as a partner. She's seeing you as a threat to her independence. And trust me, no matter how much you give, you'll never be appreciated. Because in her world, your role is optional. So don't argue. Don't try to prove your worth. If she says she doesn't need a man, believe her. And walk. 2. My ex was the problem. All of them. If every man she's ever dated was the villain, guess who's next? Look, everyone has a story, and not all relationships end well. But when a woman constantly blames every single ex for everything that went wrong, that's a warning sign. She's not being honest. She's being unaccountable. 1 toxic ex? Okay. 2 messy breakups? Sure, it happens. But when she starts listing off 5 or 6 men, and somehow, in every situation, she was the innocent one, that's not bad luck. That's a pattern. It means she never learned. She never grew. And worst of all, she never looked in the mirror. Here's the problem for you. If she never sees herself as part of the issue, then you will become the next toxic man. The moment you disagree with her, you raise a concern, you're controlling, you set a boundary, you're just like her ex. It doesn't matter how kind, loyal, or patient you are. The narrative is already set. Men are the problem. She is the victim. And the more you try to be different, the more she'll expect you to fix what the last guy broke. That's not a relationship. That's emotional rehab. And you're the therapist. Let's make it plain. You're on a date and she starts venting about her past. One ex was a liar. The next was emotionally unavailable. Another was obsessed with work. The last one couldn't handle a strong woman. You ask, what do you think you could have done differently? She smirks and says, honestly, I was just too good for them. That's your cue. If she's allergic to accountability, she'll never take responsibility for the role she plays in conflict. And when things get rocky with you, she'll say the same thing. It wasn't me. It was him. So save yourself the emotional drain. If she's never the problem in her past, she'll never be the solution in your future. Walk. 3. If you can't handle me at my worst. You've heard this one before. It sounds bold, confident, like she's just being real. But let's call it what it really is, an excuse for bad behavior. That phrase has become a free pass for emotional outbursts, disrespect, manipulation, and immaturity. It's not about being authentic. It's about setting the tone. You better accept me however I act, or you don't deserve me at all. Let that sink in. This statement tells you that her worst is non-negotiable. She's not working on it. She's not trying to grow. She just wants you to deal with it. And if you push back, you're weak. You can't handle a real woman. You're too sensitive. That's not love. That's ego. Relationships are supposed to be about mutual growth. Two people becoming better together. But when someone leads with their worst and demands you endure it without question, that's not partnership. That's emotional laziness. You don't need a woman who prides herself on being difficult. You need a woman who values peace as much as passion. Someone who can say, hey, I'm not perfect, but I'm working on it. Not, this is who I am, take it or leave it. And look, we all have our bad moments. Nobody's perfect. But if she's bragging about her worst, like it's some kind of test for you to pass, she's already telling you how the relationship will go. You'll spend most of your time calming her down, walking on eggshells, apologizing for things you didn't do just to avoid triggering her worst. And when you finally break or get tired, she'll say, see, I knew you couldn't handle me. It's a setup. You're expected to be her emotional punching bag, her rock, her therapist, all while she does nothing to meet you halfway. That's not strength. That's selfishness. So when you hear her proudly declare, if you can't handle me at my worst, you need to understand, she's not warning you, she's promising you. And you don't need to stick around to see how bad it gets. You already know enough. 4. I'm not submissive to any man. Now before you react, let's get one thing straight. Submission doesn't mean slavery. It doesn't mean control, silence, or weakness. It means respect, cooperation, and the ability to build with someone, not against them. So when a woman proudly says, I'm not submissive to any man, what she's really saying is, I refuse to follow even when it's right. And that's a problem. Because every strong man knows, leadership comes with responsibility. You lead with love, with vision, with protection. But you cannot lead a woman who refuses to let go of her pride. Now here's the part most men need to hear. Stop chasing women who compete with you. Some of you are addicted to struggle. You think if she's not challenging you every day, it's boring. You think arguing 24/7 means she's passionate. No. It means you've confused chaos with chemistry. A woman who can't respect your leadership will always see you as disposable. She'll challenge every decision. She'll resist every boundary. She'll fight you just to prove she can. And the crazy part? Some men still try to win her over. You'll bend, adjust, shrink yourself, just to make her stay. And that's where you lose. Because the moment you negotiate respect, you've already lost authority. A woman saying she won't be submissive isn't just warning you, she's testing you. She wants to see how much of yourself you're willing to give up for her approval. So here's the wake-up call. Stop trying to lead women who only follow their ego. You deserve someone who understands that real submission isn't weakness. It's trust. It's her saying, I believe in your vision, I trust your direction, and I'm willing to build with you, not against you. That kind of woman exists, but you won't find her if you're still stuck trying to prove yourself to someone who sees your leadership as a threat. So if she says, I'm not submissive to any man, she's telling you exactly where you stand, beneath her pride. Don't argue, don't debate. 5. Men are intimidated by me. This one sounds like confidence on the surface. But listen closely, because it's usually just hidden bitterness in disguise. When a woman constantly says, men are intimidated by me, what she's really saying is, I refuse to take accountability for why my relationships don't work. Let's be real. Strong women aren't the problem. Men love confident, intelligent, high-achieving women. What men can't stand is a woman who weaponizes her success and uses it to look down on others. This phrase often comes from women who confuse being difficult with being powerful. They think they're too much to handle, when really, they're just hard to be around. And instead of asking themselves why their energy repels good men, they blame it on intimidation. It's easier than self-reflection. But here's the truth that men need to hear. We're not intimidated. We're uninterested. Uninterested in ego battles. Uninterested in one-up competitions. Uninterested in proving that we're strong enough to survive her attitude. This line is often a way to avoid growth, because if all men are just intimidated, then she never has to change, never has to soften, never has to learn how to work with a man instead of trying to overpower him. And here's where men mess up. Some of you hear this and take it as a challenge. You think, I'll be the one who proves her wrong. I'll be the guy who can handle her. Wrong move. Because the moment you try to prove you're not intimidated, you've already given her control. You're playing into her ego instead of protecting your own peace. You don't need to fight for the approval of someone who sees you as competition. You need a woman who doesn't need to be the loudest, toughest, or most alpha in the room to feel secure. So when she says men are intimidated by me, understand that's not strength talking. That's pain. That's pride. That's deflection. And none of that belongs in a healthy relationship. Let her keep proving herself to the world. You've got nothing to prove. 6. You're too emotional for a guy. This one hits different because it's the kind of comment that can silently shut a man down. When a woman says, you're too emotional for a guy, she's not just criticizing how you feel, she's attacking who you are. Let's get something straight. As a man, being in control of your emotions is powerful. But feeling things? That's not weakness. That's human. This phrase is often used when a man shows vulnerability, when he opens up, expresses concern, or dares to set a boundary. And instead of appreciation, he gets mocked for it. You care? Too soft. You speak up? Too sensitive. You react? Too emotional. It's the oldest double standard in the book. She gets to cry, scream, vent, shut down, and that's valid. You do the same, now you're acting like a girl. And here's where most men start to fold. You hear this enough times, and suddenly you stop speaking up. You bottle it in, you stay silent, you walk on eggshells. But inside, you're dying. That's not masculinity. That's emotional suppression. And the longer you tolerate it, the more power you give away. Now let's be honest. Some men do struggle with emotional control. But expressing yourself, checking in about something that bothers you, or needing support during a hard time, that's not weakness. That's real strength. And if she can't handle that, if she mocks it, if she uses your emotions as ammo in an argument, that's not the woman for you. Because a woman who truly respects you will create space for your feelings. She'll recognize when you're carrying too much. She won't shame you for being human. So when she says, "You're too emotional for a guy," she's telling you, loud and clear, "I only value the parts of you that benefit me." And a relationship built on that mindset? It's not love, it's performance. So don't perform. Don't shrink. Don't harden yourself just to fit her idea of a man. You don't need to toughen up. You need to walk away. 7. You should be lucky to have me. This line might sound playful at first, until you realize it's a power move dressed as a compliment. When a woman tells you, "You should be lucky to have me," what she's doing is flipping the script, from partnership to hierarchy. She's not trying to build with you. She's trying to position herself above you. Let's break it down. Relationships are supposed to be mutual. You both bring value. You both add something real to each other's lives. But when one person believes they're the prize, and you're just lucky to be in the room, that's not love. That's entitlement. That phrase isn't gratitude. It's arrogance. It's a warning sign that she sees you as someone she's settling for. Not someone she respects. Not someone she admires. Just someone who's lucky she picked you. And sadly, too many men fall for this. You start overgiving, overproving, trying to earn her validation, like you're in some competition. But here's the hard truth. If you're constantly trying to prove your worth, she already thinks you're beneath her. And let's be honest. Real confidence doesn't need to announce itself. A woman who truly knows her value won't need to remind you of it every 5 minutes. She'll show it through how she loves, how she supports, how she respects you. But when she says, "You should be lucky to have me," what she's really saying is, "You're replaceable, and I'm doing you a favor." And the moment you believe that, you start settling for crumbs. You accept disrespect. You tolerate mood swings. You stop setting standards. Why? Because now you're scared to lose her. And that's exactly the trap she wanted you in. So here's your wake-up call. A woman who truly values you will never use her presence as a threat. She'll never act like she's doing you a favor just by showing up. So if she ever tries to remind you how lucky you are to be with her, return the favor. Be the man who walks away without hesitation. Because you're the prize too. 8. I'll do what I want when I want. This right here isn't confidence. It's rebellion disguised as independence. When a woman tells you, "I'll do what I want when I want," she's not setting boundaries. She's warning you that your opinion doesn't matter. Let's be real. In any relationship, friendship, business, or love, there has to be respect for each other's thoughts, time, and values. You don't own each other, but there has to be consideration. But that statement, that's not consideration, that's control. It's her way of saying, "I'm not accountable to anyone. I won't compromise. I make the rules, and you deal with it." That's not strength. That's selfishness. And if you accept that mindset early on, guess what? You'll always be adjusting your life around hers. Your opinions won't matter. Your boundaries won't matter. Only her comfort will matter. And that's how good men lose themselves. You start with standards, but then you begin to tolerate little things. She goes out without saying anything. It's none of your business. She does things you clearly said you're not okay with. You can't control me. And slowly you go quiet. Not because you're okay with it, but because you're tired of arguing. And that's when she knows. She's in control. Not through love, not through respect, but through dominance. Some men think they're being mature by staying calm. No, you're being manipulated. Let's be clear, real independence is healthy. But real relationships require mutual respect. If her idea of freedom is being able to disregard your values completely, then she's not ready for a man. She's looking for a fan club. You're not here to babysit someone's rebellion. You're here to build a life with someone who understands balance. Someone who can think about how her actions affect the man beside her. So when she says, "I'll do what I want when I want," she's drawing the line. Now it's your move. Don't argue. Don't beg for respect. Walk. Because if she won't make space for you in her decisions, she doesn't deserve space in your life. 9. All men cheat anyway. This is one of the most toxic things a woman can say, and yet some men still shrug it off like it's nothing. Let's be clear. When a woman says, all men cheat anyway, she's not just venting about her past. She's telling you how low her standards are for how a man should treat her. And more importantly, how little she expects from you. You see, that phrase is loaded with baggage. It's not just about cheating. It's about trust, mindset, and the story she tells herself to protect her pride. She's already decided men can't be loyal, men can't be trusted. Love is just temporary until betrayal shows up. So what happens when you step in? You're already fighting a battle you didn't start. No matter how honest, consistent, or committed you are, she'll still be suspicious, still guarded, still waiting for you to slip up. It becomes a lose-lose situation. And here's the worst part. A woman who truly believes all men cheat won't hold herself accountable either. If she does something shady, she'll justify it. If men can do it, so can I. If you ever cheat, I'll cheat back. I don't trust you anyway. That's not love. That's emotional warfare. And here's what men need to stop doing. Stop trying to prove her wrong. She already made up her mind. She's not looking for truth. She's looking for patterns to support her story. You'll break your back trying to be the exception, thinking your loyalty will change her worldview. But it won't. Because deep down, she's more committed to her pain than to you. And let's not ignore this. If she really believes all men cheat, then what's stopping her from doing the same? Nothing. That mindset isn't just toxic. It's dangerous. So when you hear those words, don't explain, don't debate. She's showing you that she's still stuck in the past, still holding on to trauma, still projecting her wounds onto every man she meets. That's not your burden to carry. Let her keep her story. You keep your peace. 10. I'm a 10. I deserve the best. Let's be honest, confidence is attractive, but delusion wrapped in attitude is not. When a woman says, I'm a 10, I deserve the best, it usually has nothing to do with her actual character, and everything to do with inflated ego. Now let's break this down. There's nothing wrong with knowing your worth, but real self-worth is quiet, not loud. It doesn't need to constantly announce itself or demand special treatment. This statement is a red flag because it's not based on connection, value, or compatibility. It's based on entitlement. She's not saying, I'm ready to build with the right man. She's saying, I expect the world to revolve around me. Big difference. And here's where most men mess up. You hear that confidence and think, wow, she knows what she wants. But what she really wants is someone to meet her unrealistic checklist, while she puts in the bare minimum. This is the kind of woman who treats relationships like transactions. She wants the best, but defines the best as status, money, clout, not character. And if you don't meet that fantasy, you're instantly disqualified. Even worse, if you do meet it, she still won't respect you, because she doesn't value men. She values what they can do for her, and men need to wake up to this. If she truly believes she's a 10, but she's disrespectful, entitled, uncooperative, emotionally unstable, or brings nothing but looks to the table, that's not a 10. That's a walking red flag. You're not here to be her reward. You're not here to compete with the last guy who couldn't afford her. You're here to build a connection with someone who respects you just as much as she respects herself. So if she's leading with hype, attitude, and a fantasy image of herself, let her keep chasing that illusion. Because a real woman doesn't need to scream, I'm a 10. She lets her peace, loyalty, and energy speak for her. And if that's not what she's offering, you don't owe her a debate. You owe yourself the door. Here's the truth nobody wants to admit. Most men don't get heartbroken because they chose the wrong woman. They get heartbroken because they ignored the warning signs. Every one of these phrases we've covered, they weren't accidents. They were signs, tests, red flags waving right in front of your face. And the reason they hurt later is because you stayed, when you should have walked. And here's the controversial truth. If a woman speaks like a man-hater, acts like a man-hater, and treats every man like her enemy, she's not strong, she's just emotionally unavailable. Stop calling that confidence. It's not. Brothers, it's time we stop romanticizing pain and calling it love. You deserve peace, partnership, and respect. If any of this hit home, drop your experience in the comments. I read everything. I reply. Let's talk. Because no matter where you are in your journey, you're not alone, and you don't have to figure it out in silence. Speak up. I'm here. Let's grow together. And if you've ever heard any of those 5 phrases, you already know what to do.